Thanks to the support as a channel member, Grant Charman. I finally get to do the big Chelsea rebuild I've wanted to do since the start of this save. We've got a £100 million transfer budget. A lot of the older, established, old lot are on the transfer list. We're looking to ship them out. We're going to bring the average age of this squad down massively. Maybe bring back some of the former Chelsea youngsters who were inexplicably sold off before they should have been. And just basically make this look like a fresher, younger Chelsea team that's going to be in a position to dominate European football for years to come. It's a realistic goal, isn't it? Hello and welcome to part 11 of my FM23 beta save with Chelsea. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our season review and transfer special after what was a pretty impressive first season managing Chelsea. I'm a little bit alarmed that on the season review, there's only one trophy. We've only got the Premier League trophy on there. We don't have the Champions League trophy. Yesterday did happen, didn't it? I'd be really upset if that was just a fever dream and we actually never won the Champions League. I'm fairly confident we did, though. Transfer signing of the season stuff, I'm not going to get too bogged down because a lot of these were players who were signed before I got here that I would have no interest in keeping around. We're actually going to be trying to undo a lot of the damage that was done to this Chelsea squad this most recent summer in real life. Even though we went on and won the league in the Champions League, I still maintain terrible transfer window last summer, bringing in the likes of Zakaria, Koulibaly, Aubameyang. What a nonsense. We're going to fix it. We're going to make it better. Fofana was quite a good one, though, but signing of the season does go to one of my boys, Benjamin Pavard, who only started 7 games. He never actually established himself as a starter, but still, signing of the season. I love it when the game is biased in my favour. We were expected to challenge for the Premier League title, and we won it. The Champions League isn't even mentioned on here at all. I repeat, the Champions League did happen, right? I'm a little bit alarmed. Kai Havertz actually finished runner-up in the Premier League goal scorers charts to Erling Haaland. 23 goals for Havertz. I think it was like 40-odd for Haaland. It's ridiculous. If Manchester City can get the rest of the team playing close to his standard this year, retaining the title might be easier said than done. Reputation-wise, we have moved from a 4.5-star to 5-star reputation club, which should make bringing players in that little bit easier, but will also make it that little bit harder to convince players to leave. However, when we do convince them to leave, theoretically, we should be able to get a little bit more money for them. So that's the hope there. Interesting to see that Raheem Sterling sells more shirts than anybody else at the club. I wonder how many of Mason Mount's shirts were sold after his Champions League final goal. I am convinced it happened. Kovacic being on there is a weird one, especially because we're probably going to be looking to sell Kovacic this summer. This was our team of the year. So I guess we played the 4-2-3-1 more often than we played the 4-3-3 or the diamond. Definitely more than we played the diamond. So in the 4-2-3-1, it's Mendy in goal, a back four of Chilwell, Chalobah, Fofana and James, Jorginho and Kante in midfield, Pulisic, Mount and Sterling behind Havertz up front. I won't argue with any of that. When the whole squad is fit, that's the team I'm most likely to pick. Obviously, it's not the one we did for the Champions League final because we decided to play a slightly more negative tactic. But yeah, I think that's probably my first choice starting 11 for the year as well. So it's good to see that they match up. I won lots of Manager of the Month awards and Manager of the Year. Reece James got Fans Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year for the last time because he turns 24 now. To be 23 and already an elite fullback, that's pretty decent stuff. We already know Pavard is signing of the season. Conor Gallagher got goal of the season. Havertz, top scorer. James, most assists with 17 from right back. To be fair, he does take the corners on the left-hand side as well. Chilwell's probably pushing him quite close as the main width and corner taker on the opposite side. Havertz got most man of the match. James, highest average rating. Koulibaly, best pass completion. Doesn't tell the whole story, though. He didn't play very many games. Raheem Sterling got England's Player of the Year. And Kai Havertz got German Footballer of the Year. And then we've also set some club records as well. Take all these with a pinch of salt because most of them don't exist before the save starts, so we won't dwell too much on those. There's your confirmation once again. Once again, we won the Premier League. I don't know why the Champions League is not included on the season review. That seems like a weird thing considering the Champions League is licensed. And we get our first look at the dynamic manager timeline of this save. I mean, there's a big headline news. This guy has become a physio. Don't even don't even remember it. I don't think I was involved in it, but there's lots of bits and bobs on here. I think this is the sort of thing that's likely to be more interesting the deeper you get into a save. Obviously, being 1 year in, maybe less so. Stuff like that's quite cool. Seeing that Chukwuemeka and Slonina made it on the next gen list, I think that's quite cool to then look back on in years to come. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how dynamically it does update, and I guess you can kind of jump through from job to job. When you're 20 years into a career, non-league to legend, this is going to be a fantastic feature. Less so in a short top-level club save, probably. Our supporter profile has tweaked ever so slightly. We've had a slight increase in fair weather fans and a slight decrease in families. I don't know. That seems like a negative to me. I don't really know how you can control or influence any of that, or if it actually matters. It's also not clear on here if any of this stuff is new. I don't think any of it is. We have had a big increase in our social media following, though, which ultimately is what it's all about. Is there anything else on here we need to have a look at? The board on the club vision are disappointed about us not increasing commercial revenue. How is that any of my concern? I literally won the Premier League and the Champions League. What more can I do other than go and sign a South Korean player or an American? We've already got an American. What are the other big nations? That Chinese player, maybe? There's certain nations where if you sign a player from there, you get a big commercial boost. But we've already, like I say, we already have an American, and it seems like a weird thing. Sign players under the age of 23 for the first team. Okay, fair enough. We didn't do that much of that. We're probably not going to do that much of that this summer either. They'll be a little older than that, maybe. We're certainly not going to sign loads of old men. I definitely agree with this. Do not sign players over the age of 30. Completely on board with that. And they want me to challenge for the Champions League and win the Premier League again in this coming year, which seems entirely reasonable. Team leaders, Jorginho, Azpilicueta and Kante. Azpilicueta's probably leaving. One of them might leave as well, although we might keep both of them around, but we're also likely to lose Kovacic. Yeah, we're not going to lose too many of our team leaders, which is good. Plans for next season. Yes, we're going to try and win the title again. They're happy with that. And yeah, we're going to try and win the Champions League. They're less happy about that. I mean, we just did it. We've won it twice in the last 3 years. I think it's fine to go into the new season saying we'd like to do it a third time, but apparently not. And I mean, I love the fact that me and my director of football are apparently on the same wavelength. Let's go sign a South Korean then. Is the game listening to me? Do we want him? Maybe we do, if we're getting rid of Koulibaly. We'll see how that one develops. That's come from nowhere, but it will help us with that objective that we failed last year, because we don't have a South Korean at the moment. A weird thing to have to base doing our transfers. And he's also over 23, so they're going to moan at me about that as well. Ugh. Folks, I just want to take a moment to thank today's episode sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Now, as long-time viewers will know, I'm something of a long-term player of Raid Shadow Legends with my level 45 character and collection of 6-star champions, really quite enjoying themselves, smashing other folk about. But even my super team of mega champions meet their match when it comes to the super tough end-game content that is the Doom Tower. The Doom Tower is basically a giant prison. The Arbiter fought a pack of really nasty bad guys a long time ago, but she wasn't strong enough to take them out for good. So instead, she locked them up in a massive super tower until she figured out how to deal with them. Well, it's now been a few thousand years. There's still a Doom Tower, so I guess we all know how that went. What's worse, now that Siroth is leaking back into the world, the Arbiter doesn't have the power to keep the wards up. So the Doom Tower is failing, and it's up to us to go in there and knock some heads about before they get out. And right now, Raid is running a fantastic Halloween trick-or-treat promotion where you can win a bunch of real-life and in-game goodies, including $1,000 Amazon gift cards and some of the best legendary and epic champions in the game. The best part is it's all free and it is super easy to do. Just download Raid with my link at the top of the description below, then head to trickortreat.plarium.com. That link's in the description as well. From there, just enter your details, spin the wheel, and win your prize. But I suggest you do get on with it, because this promotion is only running until November the 5th. So you want to act fast, because once it's over, it's over. So if you're not yet playing Raid, click the link in the description or scan my QR code and you'll get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, 200k of silver, 1 energy refill, an XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get up and running in game. All of that treasure will be waiting for you in game right here. So there we have it, folks. What are you waiting for? Link is down there. You know what to do. Right, I've just gone through and messed around with lots of buyout clauses and things to generate a little bit more cash. The biggest ones, Livramento, 3.87 million we got out of Southampton for him, and Guay, 5.9 million for from Crystal Palace. There was a couple of other decent side ones as well. I've also been nosing through the clauses to see if we have anyone else with a buyback. Looks like the only one we've got that on is Tammy Abraham at 69 million, a buyback clause that activates in 3 weeks and is then in place for the next 3 years at 69 million pounds for a player who's now in the range of 83 to 100 million and is wanted by Arsenal and Tottenham. At 25 years old, he is exactly the striker that we want. I think it would be very unlikely that we didn't go in for Tammy Abraham in 3 weeks' time. In the meantime, I'm allowing the offer for Kim Min-jae to carry on for now, and I've also made an offer well below the agreed price for Gravenberch, which Bayern Munich have accepted, so we might be bringing Gravenberch in as well. So if we start in the summer off with Kim, Gravenberch, and Tammy Abraham, that's quite a nice start. We then need to work out who we're going to get rid of to fund the next phase of the revolution, and it's very much a case of picking out the older players. So Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, obvious start point. We've got no interest in keeping him around. He goes on the transfer list. He's gone. And then if we're looking through peak players that aren't regular starters, I think is another key thing for us to look at. So, for example, Kovacic, if we can get anywhere close to that kind of range for a guy that is not a regular starter for us, and it falls further down the pecking order with Gravenberch coming in, Gallagher being a year older. I mean, it is insane to think that we could get anywhere near that. But goodness me, would I like to get near that? So let's offer him out. Sterling, I think we keep. Jorginho, I think we keep for now because he's a regular starter, as is Kante, as is Mendy. As Pelaqueta, though, he's already on the transfer list. In fact, no, he's not on the transfer list. We've agreed to sell him for 12.5 million. I don't think we'll get that much for him, but we'll offer him out. If no one wants him, he goes on the transfer list. Koulibaly is already on the transfer list at his own request, so he gets offered out as well. Pavard, we definitely keep. Baba Rahman is he's not out of contract. That is absurd. Although we have already accepted some offers for him. We'll offer him out again. Can't believe he's not out of contract. And Bettinelli, I think, needs to move on as well. The rest of the squad, age-wise, happy to keep them around. I'm not planning on bringing Dennis Zakaria in permanently. We barely used him this year. Gravenberch, like I say, though, we will go in for. And then, of course, we've got the development centre and potential players who can come through into the first team squad for this coming season. Levi Colwill is an obvious one. He's a name that was being mentioned as potentially being part of Chelsea's squad this year. Played 19 games for Brighton last year. I think there's a very good argument for bringing Levi Colwill into the first team squad. The thing that goes against it is the fact he's only got that 2 stars of current ability. So you could also make an argument that he would benefit from another season out on loan to see if he can get a little bit closer to that potential ability. We've also got Ian Matson at left back. Very similar. Everything I've just said about Colwill, you could say about this guy. Probably another season on loan would do him good. And Faustino Angerin, I think probably we sell because at 21, only with 3 stars of potential, not good enough to come in and play in our team, but with that kind of price range, I think we actually see if we can cash in on him and move him on. That's the plan for now. Let's see how many of these players want to move on. Make sure we've got Tammy Abraham money for when Tammy Abraham Day comes around. We'll keep an eye on free transfers and stuff like that as well. But really, we're looking to bring in youngsters. The one I really want, in addition to Tammy Abraham, is Tomori, but with no buyback price. Probably unlikely, isn't it? Don't think we're getting Tomori. Well, we're not signing Gravenberch after all. We've just done negotiations with him, and he insisted on, after 20 league games, his salary going up to £425,000 a week. Wouldn't negotiate on it. As you can see, he's now backed out of the deal. So unless we can get him to stop being absolutely moronic about that. 20 league games, then we have to pay him £425,000 a week. Not going to happen. So probably not going to bring him in. We have had an offer from Brighton for Aubameyang, which we're going to accept. They can pay his salary. Fair play to them. It's a good signing for them. And hopefully we start to get a few more offers come in now as well. Well, Aubameyang's a frustrating man because he's turned down his move to Brighton. Kovacic is out of contract at the end of next season. We're massively lowering his price to try and cash in and get anything for him now. But he apparently is happy to just leave on a free next year, which I guess is not a disaster. I would rather sell him now, though. So we're offering him out for 34 million currently. We have had offers in from Real Madrid for Koulibaly and Azpilicueta. 10 million for Azpilicueta, 36 million for Koulibaly. Hopefully we can get both of them out of the door. I would really quite like to find a way to get Aubameyang out as well. Can't believe he's turned down Brighton, where he would actually play. And he just hasn't played for us. We also had the offer that we made for Kim Min-jae turned down. I've not gone back in for another one. I can see my director of football has just made an offer now for Caleb Okoli at Atalanta, which certainly fits the profile we're looking for a little bit closer. 21 years old. Especially if Koulibaly's going, I think that's much more like it, actually. Decent price, good age. We'll see how that one develops, I think. And there's a Paris Saint-Germain offer for Azpilicueta, which we will accept. And still nobody wants to make an offer for Kovacic. We'll just keep offering him out and see what happens. Same with Aubameyang and Androran. Here we go. Kovacic offers. It's not quite the 100 million we looked at before, is it? Well, to be fair, there's two offers at 34 there, so we'll take both of those, and Barcelona can just increase their offer. Thank you very much, Barcelona. 34 million is the price for Kovacic. Baba Rahman is gone for pretty much nothing. Obviously, once Lukaku is back, he's another one that we're going to be looking to ship out, but I don't think his loan expires until the 1st, so we've got quite a few. Is Lukaku back? Where is Lukaku on there? Is he in the first team squad? Where is Lukaku? Is he showing up on my squad planner now? No. There he is. So he is still out on loan. Couldn't see him on that previous screen. But once he's back, the job becomes getting rid of him as well. And there's a few others who are going to be returning. Although realistically, the others coming back are probably going to come into the first team squad. Chukwuemeka, Kasedai will both be players that we look to use a little bit more next year. Malang Song would probably look to sell. Malang Sarr, sorry, get his name right. But yeah, Lukaku, big business opportunity there. I'd like to be able to get enough for Lukaku to cover the Tammy Abraham deal. That's the goal there. Right. Barcelona don't want Kovacic. Do we want Okoli? Manchester United and Tottenham both do. I just want to give him a quick comparison to Chalobah. If we can find Chalobah. So he does edge Chalobah on a lot of key attributes. Chalobah's better at the more midfieldy kind of stuff, the technical, the attacking, the vision, the actual defending stuff. Okoli just edges it, and he is a couple of years younger as well, 2 years younger. For less than 30 million, I think this is a no-brainer. He can be the Koulibaly replacement in the squad. We've already seen that we're not going to be able to get Tomori, so I don't mind filling that gap with this guy. We then have centre-backs of Fofana, Chalobah, Pavard and Okoli the next season. That is 4 perfectly good centre-backs, and Colwell can then go out on loan again. There is the Koulibaly deal going through as well, which is huge because he was on big money and I was worried we weren't going to be able to sell him, but that is him gone. If we get him gone and Kovacic gone and Lukaku gone, I'm less worried about keeping Aubameyang around. But that is big money for us, and our transfer kitty continues to grow as Tammy Abraham Day approaches. We are now in a pickle of a situation with Tammy Abraham because Tottenham are forcing our hands early, 2 weeks before, in fact, they've turned down the Tottenham offer. Okay, that means we can reject. Tottenham went in and offered 70 million, so we went in and matched it. Roma have come back and asked for 94. Tottenham look like they've withdrawn. We need to be actively monitoring Tammy Abraham and make sure nobody else gets him before we can get him for 69. Because we don't want to pay 94 when we can get him for 69 in 2 weeks' time. We need to keep an eye on Tottenham because they're rascals. There you go. Oh no, I thought that was another offer coming in for him. That's confirmation that we made an offer for him as a news item. Thank you, game. Well, you can blame Ryan Gravenberch for that one because I was quite happy bringing him in, but we tried again. Once again, he came in with his silly after 20 games, wants £425,000 a week. So I had a look to see what other centre mids were out there. And Jude Bellingham had a release clause at £75 million and was happy with just a flat £240,000 a week with no increases further down the line. So Jude Bellingham is a Chelsea player. No one else was in for him. Don't really understand that. But Bellingham is here at Chelsea and we still have enough money to go get Tammy Abraham because other players have moved on. We have sold Kovacic to Newcastle for 34 million. Azpilicueta went to Paris Saint-Germain for 10 million. And I think you'd already seen Babaraman and Koulibaly move on. We still have Lukaku ready to move on as well. And it looks like bringing in Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham. I mean, we might have to do a nickname here. Should give us the commercial boost that we needed as well, which is very handy. I like the fact it tells you exactly how many shirts each one of them have sold. Wonder how many Bellyman will sell, because apparently I can't say his name. Right, Tammy Abraham Day is tomorrow, I think. So let's see if we can get him in as well. We already had 7 players in England's World Cup squad. Bellingham makes it 8. Tammy Abraham should make it 9. Let's just try and do a full Chelsea 11 for England. Why not? But we're going for English. Well, business has been happening. As you can see, we've confirmed the signings of Akoli, as we always plan to. He comes in as one of our 4 defensive options. And we brought Tammy Abraham home from Roma, £69 million for him. A little bit alarmed that he's only considered a 3-star current ability player with no potential to improve. But looking at those attributes, unless what makes a good striker has changed massively in FM23, this guy is a 25 goal a season striker in the Premier League. So I'm not too perturbed. I've used him a lot in football managers past. I'm gonna take that with a pinch of salt and assume he's all right. We've sold loads of players. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, his transfer that was arranged last summer has now gone through permanently. He's joined Newcastle for £25.5 million. We got the money into our budget this season. I think that works differently to how it's worked on previous FMs. Koulibaly's deal to Real Madrid for 36 million has gone through. Romelu Lukaku returned from Inter and was immediately sent along to Real Madrid with Koulibaly, £36.5 million for him. It shows just how bad that piece of business was by Chelsea, but I just wanted to get anything I could for him and get his £300,000 a week salary off the wage bill, which we've now done. One of the backup goalkeepers, Jamie Cumming, has joined Forest. He was on loan at McDonald's last year and is now at Forest. Ethan Ampadu. I know I'm trying to focus in on our young players. He just didn't look like he was ever going to make it. It was in Serie A last year, but he only had like 2.5-star potential. And we've got good options at centre-back. So Ampadu has gone, as has Malang Sarr, who's joined Borussia Dortmund for £12.5 million. There are still other deals currently going on, but I wanted to show you the squad as it is as of today. So we're currently sat here with a squad of 24. I'm trying to sell Kepa because I want Slonina to be my backup goalkeeper this season. So Kepa, we did have a £23 million offer from Monaco, but he turned down the move. I suspect enormous salaries, the sticking point again. But the rest of the squad, I am very happy with. I think we could probably do with another central midfielder. If we look at the squad planner, obviously we've got Chukwuemeka who can come in and be a part of that mix this year. But with Kovacic leaving, I know Bellingham is in, but if you consider Mount to be an attacking midfielder, Kante maybe a holding midfielder as he gets a little older, you've only really got Bellingham, Gallagher, Chukwuemeka, because again, Jorginho, more of a holding midfielder. So I think we need another body in there. But I think in pretty much every other position, we're well covered. Happy to go with Mendy and Slonina as goalkeepers. Nathan Baxter's signed a new contract to be our third choice as a young English homegrown player. Happy for him to be in as third choice. At left back, Chilwell and Kukurea is fine. At right back, Reece James and Pavard is fine. Although obviously with Pavard also playing at centre back, it might be nice to bring in someone else who could provide cover there, just in case Pavard establishes himself as a starter for us at centre back. But he's not likely to, looking at what we've got at centre back. Fofana, Chalobah. We've got Okoli who's just come in as well. Let's just shuffle Okoli into the mix. So he jumps up there as good as Fofana as far as my director of football is concerned. Chalobah was starting a lot last year. Pavard really is our fourth choice centre back and second choice right back. He's going to get a lot of games, but not necessarily going to be a nailed on starter anywhere. And I'm pretty comfortable having him in that role. And obviously, we've got Levi Colwill, who we're probably going to loan out. Centre mid, we've already looked at. Attacking midfield, Havertz is likely to play more there. Now, Tammy Abraham is at the club, although Havertz is still considered 5-star current ability best striker at the club. So if Abraham doesn't work out and Brozier's not ready yet, with hopefully the impending sale of Aubameyang, although he keeps turning down deals. But if Aubameyang does move on, then Havertz might still play a decent number of games at centre forward, which frees up Mason Mount to play as the attacking midfielder. Chukwuemeka joins the mix there as well. We've got lots of options. Then out on the left, Mount, Sterling, Pulisic, Gonçalves, Hudson-Odoi. I certainly don't think we're wanting for wingers on the right. Sterling, Mount, Pulisic, Gonçalves, Hudson-Odoi. We're fine in these wide areas. So I think a centre mid is what we're looking for. We still have loads of money. We've done a real good job of cleaning up this wage bill, getting the likes of Koulibaly and Lukaku off of it, which despite the fact we've replaced those players, we replaced them with cheaper players. So we've got lots of spare wage budget, hopefully with Aubameyang still to go, and £65 million still in the transfer budget means we can still move for at least one more player. And with Kepa, Aubameyang, and maybe others still potentially leaving the club this summer, that could still rise. So at least one more player in, maybe several, who knows? Yeah, we've got plenty still to do this summer, and some youngsters that we could still end up promoting. I mean, if we don't sign another midfielder, we could just promote him into the first team squad. It wouldn't be the end of the world. Well, if we're bringing back former Chelsea youngsters, I guess we need to do it properly. Jamal Musiala is in. £93 million. It's not all up front. It's not close to all up front. We paid something in the region of £35 million up front. The rest of it is in installments and add-ons and performance bonuses and all that kind of stuff. I still think it's worth it. A 4-star current ability player with 5-star potential. Can I point out we've signed Musiala and Bellingham this summer? Camavinga's on his way. We have a new midfield, everybody. We have a midfield of wonder kids. Camavinga, Bellingham and Musiala as a midfield 3. Kante has signed a new contract, but I think time is up for Jorginho. We've obviously still got Conor Gallagher knocking around as well, and Chukwuemeka as our own youngsters that we can throw into the mix. But I think with Camavinga hopefully joining as well, we can probably let Jorginho go. But there's your confirmation. Musiala expected to sell even more shirts than Jude Bellingham. And, I mean, we're doing all right here this summer. This is turning out okay. We're bringing in excellent young players. We're bringing in English players. We're bringing in former Chelsea youngsters. All the goals we had at the start of this summer all seem to be working out all right so far. Xavier Simons is going to Newcastle. Nice little flow of money coming in from Newcastle, as usual. We still have just about enough left to secure the Camavinga deal. But I think what we're going to do is just have a look at how our midfield looks. Obviously, Musiala is likely to be in there. I mean, it does mean Tammy Abraham probably going to get less game time now than he would have done originally, because we're likely to play Musiala there, although I guess he could play out on the flanks. There's certainly options, but we could probably go with Havertz up front, Musiala there, and then Camavinga and Bellingham, or Kante and Bellingham, or Kante and Camavinga. Again, options. But I think Jorginho, on nearly £200,000 a week, he is a team leader, which isn't ideal. But if we can add in Camavinga, can't we? Is he on our shortlist? He is. So if we add Camavinga in, and then assume he's going to be... Can't even use this screen properly yet. How do you drag them? Put him up there above Jorginho. So if in centre mid we've got Mount, Kante, Bellingham, Camavinga all ahead of Jorginho, I think we probably move Jorginho on because then we've got Gallagher and Chukwuemeka behind him. If we use the other tactic, let's just... Because obviously Jorginho is crucial in this system. But again, obviously, Camavinga can play in that deep role. So Bellingham could play there. Would we want to use Bellingham there? Kante could play there. If there's a way to keep them all, that would be nice. But then there's going to be players unhappy. How likely are we going to use this system? How good is Camavinga actually playing at the base of a midfield? Decisions. I mean, he does most things better than Jorginho already. He's not quite got those playmaker skills yet, but they'll come with time. He's only 20 years old. When we don't use the 4-3-3 a lot anyway, if we do, I guess we can just put Kante there and not have that as the playmaker, just have like an anchor there as Kante or Bellingham or Camavinga, and then have the energetic... I mean, you'd probably move Musiala into centre mid in that system. We've still got Mason Mount. We've still got Conor Gallagher. Yeah, we're moving Jorginho on. At 31, your time is up. Jorginho is done. Let's hope we don't cause a riot by getting rid of too many team leaders in one go, because we've already let what's his face, Azpilicueta go. Is there an argument it should have been Kante we're moving on? Who's a year older? I just think he's a level above, isn't he? It doesn't matter that he's a year older, Jorginho. He's a level above Jorginho. I think Jorginho leaves here if we get offers for him. Summer continues, boys and girls. I'm having a lovely time. Well, it's all gone very quiet transfer-wise as we hit the end of January. I've made a bit of a boo-boo. I've loaned out Slonina because I didn't think Kepa would go. Then we got an offer for Kepa, so I've sold him as well. I hoped I could recall Slonina, and I can't. So Slonina is on loan at Forest. I'm hoping I can recall him by the end of the transfer window, because I think he has to be there a month before we can recall him. So fingers crossed by the end of the window, I can recall him from Forest to be our backup keeper for the season. Kepa has gone to Zenit for a cut price deal, but again, a big salary off the books, which is mainly part of the plan this year. Zenit also took Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the end for another big salary player off the books. And we confirmed the signing of Camavinga. So, I mean, the squad is looking superb. If we have a look at us in the squad planner, we can have a look at what the best 11 would be. Mendy, Chilwell, Pavard, Fofana, James, Bellingham and Kante, Musiala, Havertz, Sterling and Tammy Abraham up front. Or if you want to do it in the 4-3-3, it changes a little bit. The back four stays the same, but then Jorginho behind Camavinga and Kante, Musiala on one side, Sterling on the other, Havertz up front. Either way, it's beautiful. It's beautiful as a diamond as well. Brozier and Abraham up front, Havertz behind him, Bellingham and Kante, Jorginho. I mean, what a squad. What a fantastic squad. And we've still got money to spend. The media are really strongly linking me with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and I'm looking at him thinking, is there anywhere else we need to strengthen? Or do we go and buy another English striker? We'll probably loan Brozier out if we do that. And go with Abraham and Calvert-Lewin as striker options. Havertz can play there as well. In fact, according to the Premier League Dream 11, Havertz is the best player in the Premier League, and he is an out-and-out striker. Even better than Haaland, apparently. So, I mean, look at that for a Dream 11. Chilwell, Sterling, Musiala, James and Havertz all in there. We've got more players in the Dream 11 than Manchester City, and the media think we're going to win the league again. Shall we go and get Calvert-Lewin? Or do we need to wait and see what happens with Slonina? Because if we can't get, I'm not really comfortable going in with Baxter and Bettinelli as my two backup goalkeepers if we can't recall Slonina. We're going to go, this video goes all the way through to the end of the transfer window. Like I mentioned yesterday, we are going to go through this season a little bit quicker. So we'll play some matches off camera and we'll find out by the end of this video if we get Slonina back again. But I am, see, my director of football is also wary that we probably need another goalkeeper. He's no better than the two we've got, though. I think we need to bring Slonina back as a matter of priority and sign Calvert-Lewin. We shouldn't. Should we? We might sign Calvert-Lewin. I'm weak. There was money, so we did it. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a Chelsea player for £105 million, a club record signing. That's 2 of England's strikers brought in this summer, and he has a much better star rating than Tammy Abraham, so I guess that moves him up the pecking order. But I certainly think Calvert-Lewin and Abraham is an upgrade on Aubameyang and Brozier from last year. Brozier has rejoined Southampton on loan for the season. Hopefully, he'll go and score a whole load of goals for them down in the Championship, finish Championship top scorer, and be ready to come back into the squad next year. I have to admit, part of the motivation behind Calvert-Lewin is that we play Everton in the Community Shield, and I'm going to leave him on the bench. Look at the strength of that bench, by the way. Look at the state of it. I'm very happy. The plan from here, we've got £10 million left. I'm not going to spend that now until deadline day, because hopefully by deadline day we can bring Slonina back. If we can't, we'll use that £10 million on deadline day to buy a backup goalkeeper. So I'm going to get through these games. I'll rejoin you on deadline day, unless something major happens in any of these, and we'll confirm our final summer spend. I told you this was a big rebuild. This team isn't going to need any transfers for the rest of the save now. This is it. We've done them all in one summer. And with that, we have made it to the end of the transfer window. Here's transfer window summary. Some big players coming in. So to be fair, some equally big players leaving. These are elite level players, and Mateo Kovacic being replaced with Wonder Kids and an elite striker. We did spend a lot. Like I say, this is all the spending that we need to do for quite some time. And we did bring in nearly half of what we spent as well, which I can live with. We've managed to do it without increasing what we're spending on salaries either. We've sold a lot of the players who were on high salaries, and because of that, we now have the same wage budget, but with a larger squad. 36 players leaving the club, I think, is an excellent demonstration of just how much of a mess this Chelsea squad was in, despite, you know, winning the Premier League and the Champions League. And we did manage to bring Slonina back from his loan as well. He did come back injured, but despite picking up the injury, did pick up Championship Player of the Month for his 2 performances against Forest. 2 games, 2 clean sheets, 2 man of the matches, a 7.7 average, an injury, and then he's recalled. He should go down as Forest's greatest ever goalkeeper, surely. That is a perfect career as a Nottingham Forest player. As far as the start to the season has gone, I thought I'd just cracked the code when we played Everton in the Community Shield. Jamal Musiala looked like the greatest player in the history of the world. We were 6-0 up by half time, a man of the match, hat-trick performance from Musiala. Everyone was excellent in that game. And then we carried it over into the European Super Cup against Paris Saint-Germain, when again, picking up the victory, all very positive stuff. But then we hit the Premier League and it all went wrong. We were at home against Tottenham on the first day. They took the lead. We managed to equalise when we switched the system around to a diamond in the second half. They then scored again, and we managed to score a late equaliser. We then had a late Tammy Abraham winner disallowed, ended 2-2. But look at the XG difference between the two teams, particularly when we played the diamond in the second half. We were all over them. And it's a very similar story against Newcastle, away to Newcastle. This time, the same. They scored first. They had a goal disallowed. We managed to grab the equaliser, actually go ahead again in the second half when we switched to the diamond, brought Calvert-Lewin and Abraham on. But then 2 late goals from Newcastle grabbed them the win, despite, once again, us comfortably beating them on XG. So despite spending all that money on Calvert-Lewin and him scoring 3 goals in 2 games for us in the league, we're well below where we need to be on our XG. We're sat 14th in the Premier League with only 1 point so far, even though Calvert-Lewin has been outstanding. But if we go into the data hub and look at the XG table, you'll see, I'm assuming you'll see, we should be top of the Premier League, 2nd in the Premier League. I mean, these kind of things should even themselves out over the course of the season. I'm not worried yet. Dynamics-wise, we're fine, despite bringing in a lot of players So fingers crossed that's form that we can sort out, but it doesn't get any easier. We play Manchester United in our next match, and we've got Barcelona in our Champions League group coming up first. So there are some big matches on the horizon as well. So we need to sort this form out quick. As part of getting through this season quickly, so I can show you next season's Champions League before the end of the beta, my plan now is pretty much get to the end of the Champions League group / January transfer window. If anything happens in the meantime, like if we keep losing, if my job comes under threat, anything like that, we'll come back a little bit sooner. But I am going to get a whole bunch of games under my belt and check back in with you close to the halfway point of the season, I think. That's the plan at the moment anyway. But we will call that a successful summer. For now, in case I've somehow ruined the Chelsea team, which I hope I haven't done. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.